Leaves are beginning to fall already. There's almost a chill in the air. It was warm today, but you can start to feel that chill in the air. Okay, I'm in Virginia. I'm not in Houston. Shout out to my buddy Q, who's in Houston, where I think he said they've had like 60 days straight of over 100 degrees. Sorry, I don't mean to tease or anything. But this crispness, coolness that you can feel, excuse me, in the air feels like football. It's like when you go out on the grass in the morning, your shoes get wet from the morning dew. You know what I mean? And these are things that I remember growing up playing football because we practiced on grass fields. Okay, I know y'all don't know what I'm talking about because it's a different world. Everybody's playing on the synthetic stuff. But there's nothing like rolling around in the morning in training camp, that morning dew on your shoes. Shoes get soaking wet. But it felt like football. And that's what it feels like right now in the air as we sit 9 days and about 21 hours away from kickoff of the season. This off season has totally been the polar opposite of what we've had in past years. I'm going to say that the Cowboys did a lot without spending a lot. This wasn't the freewheeling and dealing like last year. You saw so many teams that tried to get better, and they went out and they got the big name guys, and they just didn't care how much money was going to cost, like, you know, the Russell Wilson trade or getting Von Miller and players like that they just pushed the chips all in and didn't care about how much it cost or how many draft picks and things. And didn't have some of these teams didn't have the same success that the Cowboys, who deconstructed themselves. When I think about what we had when we started last offseason, we played against Tampa Bay, the game that we lost Dak Prescott, that we had already lost Tyron Smith for the season and had a rookie starting at right tackle who had trained as being a guard. CeeDee Lamb, we questioned on whether or not he was the number one receiver. And the rest of the guys that were out there, the Noah Browns, the Dennis Houston, the Semi Fiocos, that started the season last year, probably ain't going to be on the roster. We already know Noah Brown's not. I think Dennis Houston maybe gets brought back on the practice squad. I think Semi gets cut. We are so far and away better talented at wide receiver right now than I look at any point during Dak Prescott's career. You could look and say, well, you did have Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, and Amari Cooper. But you look at it and say, well, really, CeeDee was kind of the rookie. CeeDee hadn't developed the way he had his first year. Second year, he got better. But you kind of saw Michael Gallup injured a lot that second year. But as I look across the board and I see CeeDee, I see Brandon Cooks, and I see Michael Gallup back healthy, and even looking at Jalen Tolbert looks like, and again, it was only preseason, Jalen Tolbert looks like the guy that Jerry Jones sold us on last year. And you start to feel like, okay, maybe we do have something here with the receivers. And I look at Dak Prescott, who I still feel like last year, he was still recovering from that ankle. Because you could see he still wasn't quite right when he ran. It still looked kind of awkward. And you say, okay, he looks far and away slimmed down and looks like he's moving better. And the zip that he has on the ball right now, the way he's moving around, I know people are going through and they're talking about, yeah, his interceptions. But I tell you what you do. You have to understand, Was Dak's interceptions last year the exception or the rule? Because you can look at Tom Brady, and Tom Brady had some years where he had a lot of interceptions. He had some years where he had like 2. Those things go up and down. You could look at Drew Brees, who one year had 19 and consistently had 14, 15, 16. Those things go up and down. And a lot of them is the circumstances that you're playing in. Some of the years that the 19 interceptions was on a 7-19 for Drew Brees, which probably meant that they were behind in a lot of games and having to pass more, being one-dimensional. When you're one-dimensional, teams are playing nickel coverage. And those are things that can lead to interceptions. But somehow, we act like Dak Prescott is the only quarterback in the history of football to ever have some interceptions for one season. I kind of say, don't worry about it. Relax. It's going to be okay. For whatever reason, everybody's looking at it and saying, this defense is going to be great. I will say, the offense wasn't exactly chopped liver last year. Once we got down to being one-dimensional with CeeDee Lamb and Zeke Elliott was nicked up, as he always is in the late part of the season, and not a factor, and Tony Pollard was injured, you just didn't have many options. But I feel like the Cowboys have said, okay, we've got a lot of options right now. I look at Jake Ferguson, who's put on extra weight and looks like he's going to be that dude. I look at having a guy like Deuce Vaughn, who's young and springy. He's wiry, okay? He's ready to go. And you look at Tony Pollard, who is a gadget guy who can catch and run and do all kinds of stuff, but you don't want to overwork him. You got CD, you got Michael Gallup, you've got Turpin in the mix, you got Jalen Tolbert in the mix, you got Michael Gallup, that you can withstand some injuries to some of those guys and still be able to weather the storm. And I will look and say, our starting offensive line, if Tyron Smith stays healthy, with Tyler Smith at guard, could be one of the best offensive lines in football. But you got to have Tyron Smith to stay healthy, especially with what it appears to be this offense is becoming. This offense isn't slow developing plays. This offense is coming at you right now with speed. And if that's the case, it makes it that much easier for the offensive line. We don't have to hold up our blocks forever. We're not going man on man, hat on hat, and we're just going to run the ball up the middle of the field, where it's just who's the stronger one and can we impose our will. All these things are going to be quarterback friendly, on offensive line friendly, and it's going to be giving the guys the ball in space. And if you don't understand about staying healthy, let me give you an example of the difference. Darren McFadden, when he played with the Raiders, for the last 3 years there, averaged 3.3 yards a carry and kept getting injured. Why? Because their offensive line was terrible, and a lot of times he was having to make moves in the backfield, and generally speaking was getting hit at the line of scrimmage. When you get hit at the line of scrimmage, when you have 300-plus pound guys that are falling on you, you will get injured more. When he came to the Dallas Cowboys, he went to like 4.6 yards a carry. Why? Because he wasn't getting touched until he was a yard upfield. And he stayed healthy. Why? Because instead of getting 300-pound guys piling up on him at the line of scrimmage, he was getting hit by the linebackers or the cornerbacks or the safeties in the second level. Guys that are smaller. They can hit, but they're not going to fall on top of you with 350 pounds. And that's what this offense will do. You'll have Tony Pollard getting the ball going outside where he's going to hit that hole real quick, and it'll be more glancing blows. You're going to see Tony Pollard and guys out there in the screenplays where they can use their speed to their advantage to make moves. You're going to see your receivers catching the ball in the slots. You're going to see these things up here that are going to open up the deep pass, because then you lull them to sleep with saying, we got to crowd the line of scrimmage because that's where all the plays are. Now you hit them with the deep ball. I am excited about the offense. I'm ecstatic about the defense, and I am ready to get this season on. And I feel great about it. You can say Mike McCarthy's on the hot seat. You can say Dak Prescott, that he ain't getting the contract. I don't care what you say, because I believe what I believe. And I believe that this team is going to be really good. And I will say that this has a feeling of Jerry Jones, the Maverick, who used to wheel and deal and make moves and not worry about the ramifications of it. With that and Jimmy Johnson, that's how we got there with those Super Bowls. I don't know if Mike McCarthy is the Jimmy Johnson, but we can say that the Cowboys doing some of the things of trying to bring in as much talent as possible is definitely there. So good people, let me say I'm happy because with football season back, so many of you great fans are back that I have not seen since the end of last year. It is great to see you guys, and it is great to know that we are only 9 days away from kickoff. Couldn't be happier, y'all. So remember, good people, remember, life is short, life is precious, and you got to enjoy the time that you have, because nobody knows when their time is up. Get your shit in order and make sure you let the people know you love that you love them. And I love you guys. Peace out. God willing, I'll see you tomorrow.